Hello my friends, welcome to Kreativ. My name is Jackie. Today I'm going to take you step by step through a really cute drawing of a koala, and I would love you to make it your own. So if you have any ideas, change colors, maybe add a few other things into the drawing, I would love to see what you come up with. Today I'm going to be using some crayons, and I have just a few, and I'm just going to organize them into groupings of color. I'll show you that in just a moment, but we'll just wait for a few more of our friends to join us. So welcome everyone on this rainy, windy day. It's a good day for some art and a nap maybe. And some good snacks. You know I love my snacks. So we'll just wait for a few more of our friends that I know are joining us today. But welcome. I'm excited to be creating with you this afternoon. We have a really fun drawing of a koala. And like I said earlier, if you want to change anything, add anything, if you have any ideas and you have some questions on how to go about it, feel free to add into, the question into the comment, and I'd be more than happy to help you make whatever you have in mind come to life on your paper. But today I'm going to be using crayons, but if you have markers or colored pencils, those are all perfect. Before I start, I like to organize my materials. So I have all my crayons laid out in front of me, and they are all grouped by color, all organized, just laid out for me. So all I have to do is just look down and there they are. I also have a few sheets of paper today. I'm just using some computer paper, but construction paper, even if you just have some cardboard, whatever you have is perfect. And I just have a few sheets because I like to have like a test paper, and then of course just the paper for my artwork itself. And let's see, I have some paper on my table, and we can turn this over so you can see what my workspace. I have some brown paper on my table, and that allows me to try things out. And also I don't have to worry about drawing right off the edge of my paper right onto my tabletop, because I have this to protect it, so I can get right onto those edges. Another thing that I like to think about before I start creating is how should I hold my paper? And that is kind of like thinking about how is your drawing going to be set up. So in my little picture here today, I have a lot going up and down, right? I have the whole, my whole paper is filled, but this guy is taking up a lot of that space. So I want to keep my paper going vertical just so I have enough space for that tree, and of course for my koala. If you wanted to turn it this way, you could, and maybe you could add like a few other koalas in there. So really just think about how you'd like to hold your paper. I'm going to hold mine vertical, and I have all my tools set up for me. If you're using colored pencils or markers or paint even, that's perfect. And yeah, so let's go ahead and just kind of play with our material before we actually jump into our artwork. And what I like to do, I kind of like to warm up and just kind of practice a few things. And if you've colored with me before, we've done this. And I think it's just important to kind of get into the feel of how you're using your crayon, the amount of pressure, what your material is doing, how you're feeling today. It's just kind of fun too. So let me just put you to my paper. Let me just turn this. And I hope you're all having a nice day. I know it's a little rainy out there. Let's see. Almost. All right. So to start with, if you want to choose your favorite color, today, let's see, I'm looking at my crayons and I think this purple is calling me. So I have my purple, and let's just play for a moment, just kind of warming up and just getting used to our material. If you're using markers or colored pencils, that's fine as well. But I'm going to start, and can you do this too if you're using your crayon or your colored pencil? Can you go back and forth and go very light? How light can you go? Back and forth. All right. Our next step, let's push down a little bit harder, going back and forth, just a little bit harder. Nice. All right, can you go harder? Push down a little bit harder and harder. Awesome. Goes light to dark. Very cool. All right. So now that I have that, I practice with my amount of pressure that I'm putting on my crayon, and I got all these different variations of my purple, which is very cool. Now let's go ahead and practice maybe layering. In this this picture here, I have a lot of layering. So I have multiple colors layered on top of each other. So I'm going to grab another color, just maybe another one of your favorites. I like this blue. This is pretty. And I'm going to do the same thing that we just did. I'm going to go from super light pressure, and I'm going to get heavier and harder until I go all the way down to here. So let's go right on top and light, 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 light. How light can you go? A little bit more, a little harder, and push down, try not to break that crayon. Cool. So that's pretty cool that we can get that cool blend and add some really cool variations into our color. You could even do like multiple like layers of like pinks or purples if you have like a lot of like different types or different purples and pinks, and that would be really cool, or two totally different colors. So just play with that and keep that in mind. Also, when you're coloring, think about the tip of your crayon. So this one here, he has a little bit of a point. And so if I use that point, I'm gonna get a really nice thin line. If I use the side of my crayon, I'll get a little bit bigger of a mark. If I use the back end, it's gonna be a totally different mark. So think about how you're using your crayon and just be aware of it. Also, with our crayons, sometimes they come with a little sharpener in the box, which is really cool. Or you could just use a pencil sharpener if you just take the paper off and give it a little sharpen. Maybe you can ask an adult to help you. Let's see, what else do we have today? So just start thinking about, you know, how many koalas do you want? Do you want your koala to have a hat on, a bow, eyelashes, maybe to be wearing like a little t-shirt? Do you want to have a koala a little poking over here, his little head out here? Do you want different flowers in the background? Do you want butterflies in the background? So start really thinking about how or what you would like in your drawing. All right, so I'm going to put my test piece of paper to the side. And I have my new sheet of paper. My new sheet of paper is going up and down the long way, vertical. And I have it on my little table here, and I have paper underneath it just so I can go right off the edge, which is kind of cool. All right, so I'm going to start with using a brown crayon. So I'm going to find my brown, and I'm also going to be using a light pressure, just because I'm going to be starting with my tree or my branch, and I do want to be able to draw my little guy, my little koala, right on top. So if I did it too hard, I'd be able to see the line. So if we do it nice and light, then I can go over it, which is pretty cool. So I am going to pick up my brown crayon, and I'm going to set up for this right here, these two lines which make my branch. Now, one way I can do it is find the start and stop point. So if I look down here, I see that my line ends right here. So I'm going to find the bottom corner over here, and I'm going to move over just a little bit. And I'm just going to make a little mark. Now, you don't have to do this, but I kind of like to know where I'm coming from and where I'm going. So I have my little mark way down here. Cool. And I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. I know it's a little gloomy out, but it's kind of fun to just get creative. So I hope you're nice and cozy. And just thank you for joining me. Also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the top corner up here, and I'm just going to move over a little bit. So I found the top corner up here, and now I'm going to move over just a little bit. All right, so now I have this point here and this one here. So I know where I'm starting and where I'm landing. I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to use a light hand. I'm going to look where I'm going, and I'm going to draw that line. It can be a little wiggly, that's okay. Right on down. Awesome. So that is this line right here. My next line is going to be the other side of my branch. So I'm going to start in my corner here. And I'm just going to kind of picture how wide I want the base of my branch to be. So, you know, that looks good. Just kind of moving my hand, just kind of figuring it out. And I know I'm going to start up here. So I'm just going to draw my line. I'm going to start a little thinner up here. And as I go, it just gets a little bit wider. And that's what happens on a branch. Kind of cool. Awesome. All right, so we're going to let that be for a little bit. I can make it bigger if I want later, but for now, I think that looks great. So my next step is going to be my koala's head. So grab my test paper or a piece of extra paper, and I'm just going to show you the shape. Now, again, I'm going to use light pressure like we practiced earlier, and the shape of this head is a curve or like a rainbow, and then a slight smile connecting it. All right, so I'm going to use my brown and I'm going to use light pressure, and I'm going to create my rainbow, and then I'm going to create my smile. I'm just showing you on this paper, just kind of get an idea. Now I can go back to this paper with my tree already started, and I'm just going to see where do I want the placement of my head to be, because I want to have enough room for my body, and I'm just going to see where I want it to be. How much do I want it to fill my page? So I just use my hand and I'm just seeing what feels good and where I'd like that head to be. And now I'm going to go ahead and draw that rainbow with my finger, that arch, and it can overlap a little bit onto your tree. That's fine. And I'm going to go ahead, and add that rainbow. Nice. Now I'm going to add that smile that connects, and I'm doing this with a light pressure because I want to be able to add some more detail to that later. Awesome job. All right, so there's my head. I've got it on there. I'm excited. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my next mark, which is going to be his back right here. So it's going to start from right underneath his little cheek, or bottom of his chin, and I'm going to just do a curved line that attaches to my tree. Again, I'm going to use my finger, just kind of practice that shape, that curve. How big is your koala? Think about the size of his head to the size of his body. And now I'm going to find that little corner of that smile, and I'm going to move over just a little bit. Use my finger one more time. And connect right to that tree. I'll just go a little bit darker just so you can see. Cool. All right. Next is our hand. So I have this little hand or arm, and it's like a smile and then another smile underneath it. I also have a little thumb and then just a round little part for his hand. You can get as creative and intricate as you'd like for your hand, but I'm going to keep mine pretty simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of picture it and find like right in the middle of his little chin here, and then I'm going to drop down. Find the middle of his little chin down here, and then drop down into his like right underneath his neck, right? And that's going to be where the top is going to be, the top line of his arm. And that's going to be a smile, and I know it attaches right on to like the middle of my tree. And yours could be a little bit different, and that's awesome and totally fine. So I'm going to just make that kind of smile. There we go, with my finger. And now I'm going to go ahead with my crayon. There's that little smile. That's that top of the arm. Now I'm going to think about how wide, how big do I want that arm to be? And I'm going to use my finger again to just kind of plan out how wide. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do a smile right underneath. This one might be a little bit longer. So I'm going to start right here. I'm going to make that smile. There it is. Let's go ahead and add our thumb and then our hand. So I have a bump and a bump. Awesome. All right, very cool. So I have my hand, he's holding on to that tree branch. He's happy. And now I'm going to start working on this leg here. So it's almost like a smile again, right? That same curved shape that we have a lot in this drawing, which is fun to do. And I'm going to find the bottom of my arm that attaches to the tree. Find it right there. Here's my tree. And I'm going to move down just a little bit, and then my mark is going to go a curve and over. So here I go. I'm going to practice again. Practice, curve, and over. So it's going to attach to that bottom where the tree meets your bottom of your koala. So here it is. Ready? Perfect. So that's his little leg. He's holding on to that tree. And now I'm going to do a foot. You could do a foot as simple as just a mark like that, or I just added some little toes, which you could do after you add this simple mark if you go light enough. So I'm going to find where I want that toe or foot to be, and I'm just going to create another same shape again. I can go back and add those little bumps for little toes if I choose. There he is, starting to come to life. All right, let's go back up here to his head and let's add his ears. Now your ears can be as big or small as you like. I'm gonna have some big ears and I'm gonna do them lightly, and I'm just gonna get that curved shape again, right? That C shape. And I'll go back later if I'm nice and light and I can add that fur later. So with my finger, I'm really gonna practice my shape and how big I would like my ear to be. My ear is gonna overlap on top of this branch, and that is totally fine. So I'm going to find where I want it to connect to his little head. I'm gonna use my finger, really picture it, and then I'll lightly, well, he's gonna have really cute ears. Draw that shape right on his little ear. I'm gonna do the same thing over here. Maybe your koala's ears like kind of cut off and you only see part of it. And that's okay, because what that does, that says that there's more beyond the edge of your page. So that's pretty cool too. So I'm gonna just picture it. I want it to be similar size to this one. Just kind of picture it on there. And then I'm gonna take a deep breath and I'm gonna go ahead and draw that ear right on. Awesome. All right, doing great. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to put down my brown crayon and I'm going to pick up my black crayon. And I'm going to start adding a few more details to my koala before we start filling it in. My first step, what I'm going to do is going to be adding this nose. And I'm going to practice. If you want to grab your practice sheet, we can pick that up. And let's practice and break down the shape of this nose. Now, of course, you can make just an oval. This is almost like a teardrop kind of shape, right? Do you see that? And it's made up of just a few little marks. And that is a rainbow or a little frown. And then I extend those ends. So it's almost like a U or a V. And then I'm going to give it a smile at the end. So the frown is a little smaller than the smile, right? So I'm going to practice that. Now I'm going to go back to my artwork and I'm going to see where I want to place that on his little face. Now I want to have enough room for a nice smile and some eyes. And I'm going to just use my finger to plan where that's going. And then I'm going to start with that little rainbow. I'm going to picture it again, extend those ends, and let's add that smile to the bottom. Cute. I like it. All right, so I'm just going to kind of go over it. I can make it a little bit bigger if I want, round it out, and now I'm going to fill it in. So with this pressure, this is, putting a lot of pressure on here so it's nice and dark, just like we did in the very beginning, our warm-up. So I just want this to be nice and bright and solid. Or I could do it nice and light and do multiple layers. I already think he looks really cute. Awesome. All right. My next step while we're here, why don't we go ahead and just add our eyes. Now, how would you like to do your eyes? Is he winking? Is his eyes really big? And you could do like ovals and then add your pupil. Does he have eyelids? Does he have eyelashes? Is he winking? You can kind of think about how you'd like that. I'm just going to add simple little eyes, just little circles, but of course make it yours. I'm going to add my big smile because he's happy. I'm going to practice with my finger. And I'm just using black. And there it is. Nice. While I'm here with my black, I'm going to go ahead and add the inner part of my ears. Now I could just do that like a C or a curve, or I could go in and add that edge, that jagged edge, which creates some fur. It's up to you. So I'm going to picture it. I'm going to draw it with my finger. And then I'm going to start, I think I'm going to add that little jagged edge because it's kind of fun to do. And I'm going to do another one over here. Nice. All right, well, while we're doing this, are there any ideas that are coming to you? Is there like a little head poking out here of another friend of a koala? Do you have a vision of maybe a butterfly or some flowers? So start thinking about that while we start filling in and coloring and adding our layers. If you'd like, you could add a little line right here if you would like. That's just going to separate him from, or her from the tree. And also I can start adding my outline to my koala with the black. Now my brown outline was really just almost like a pencil mark, right? So I'm going to go over it now, and I'm going to do two different colors in my koala's fur, because I noticed that when I was looking at koalas online, that they're kind of like this cool, like silvery color. And I could create that by layering it with black with some light blue. This is blue-green, but you could use whatever color you have, or you could use a totally different color, maybe black and purple, or you could do a purple koala with maybe a pink over it, or a green one, whatever you'd like. This is yours. So I'm going to continue with my black, and I'm going to start introducing some jagged edges, which are going to create some fur and also some interest, and I think it makes him very cute as well. So I'm going to start by just taking my time and adding and outlining and adding some little, just a little zigzag almost to my edges here and there to create some interest and some fur. I'm going to add some to his little cheeks here. They're just little points or little Z's or zigzags. And I'm just going over my brown that was just there as our pencil mark. My guy has had a lot of treats. He's a big guy. And I'm just going to continue adding and outlining, going right over my tree line, adding my little toes, outlining my hand. Maybe there's a little fur on his little elbow. There he is. Cute. All right. I'm going to start by putting down the sky just for 1 minute, and I'm going to pick up some pink. I'm going to add pink to the inside of my ears, and I'm also going to add the pink to my cheeks. So I'm just going to color in. I'm using a medium pressure. I'm going to do another layer on top of this, so I'm not too worried, just filling it in. Do the same over here. And I'm going to add some little cheeks, red cheeks or rosy cheeks. You don't have to if you don't want to. Cool. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go back to my tree. I'm going to start by using the brown, and I'm going to go up and down, and I'm going to just follow the angle of my tree. And you can do it in big marks, or you can do it in just little, however you like. And I'm just going to fill in. And I'm thinking, you know, keeping in mind that I don't want to color in my koala because I'm focusing on my tree right now. So I ask myself, is this koala or is this tree? Just taking my time, thinking about the direction of my mark and how much pressure. Does the pressure change or does it stay the same? By having some paper underneath, I can go right off. Taking my time. Sometimes it's good to give like a soundtrack to your direction or to your mark. So it's like, or like, I don't know. I think it helps sometimes. Let me try it. There we go. Cool. All right, so I know that this was the leg, so I didn't color it. I know that was the hand, didn't color it. Foot, good, I'm all good. But now I'm gonna add my second layer. And my second layer is going to be black. And I'm gonna do the same amount of pressure right on top, or maybe even a little less, in same direction. And of course you can play. You can say, well, maybe I wanna try a different direction rather than going the same way as I did with the brown. Now, one thing we can think about is, do you see how tree, and do you see how there's some shadow that the koala is making right on my tree? And how I can make that visible is by just going over right underneath that koala. Just focusing on that just for a minute. The same amount of pressure that I've been using. And now I have the shadow that's cast by my koala on my tree. It's kind of cool. By doing that, it starts giving depth and interest to my drawing. It's not so flat, but it's totally up to you. Same thing over here. Maybe this arm is casting a shadow on my tree. So I'm just gonna go and get my first once over here. And you don't have to do this at all, but then I'm gonna go back and just kind of focus right underneath his hand. Go over that a few times. And what that does, again, puts that shadow right there. And I'm gonna continue up by adding this second layer. It adds interest. It adds some texture. It's just cool. All right, nice. So there's my tree. I can go back, of course, and add a second layer or third layer if I'd like. But for now, I'm gonna go back to my koala. Now, let's really start thinking about the direction of our brushstroke for our koala, because what that's gonna do, it's gonna create some roundness to this little guy. And I know he's just like me, so he likes snacks. So he is kind of round, right? Or just like our arm, it's not flat, it's round, right? So if I were to do curved marks around my arm or just draw on my arm, they're not straight lines, right? They're curved. which is kind of cool. All right, so that being said, let's go to our arm and let's think about wrapping that mark right around our arm. So here's our little kind of like a curved little C from the top to the bottom. And if you're like, I don't really want to do that, you can just color it in however you like. And then again, just like we did on our tree, do you want to add a little bit of shadow right here? If you want to, just go right over that bottom part of the arm. Just focusing on that bottom part of the arm. And I just added a little bit more of a darker edge right there. I kept the same direction. And now I'm going to look at my koala here. I have a curve, so I'm going to continue with that curve, filling in. And then you notice I have a curve here, so I'm going to switch that curve of my mark, and I'll start creating some form to my koala. So I'm going to start here. Following the curve of his back. A light to medium pressure I'm using till I get to my arm. Continuing that curve right around his little bum. You can always turn your paper, right? You can always turn our paper. Fill in this little space here, his little tummy. And now here's that curve here. So I'll go this way. Light to medium pressure. Maybe I'll start kind of straightening it out right here and turn it the other way. It's kind of fun. Cool. And now, is there a little bit of a shadow on the bottom right here? If so, we can just go back and focus, adding just a little bit of a shadow, darker part, adding some roundness to our little guy. All right, and now let's get that foot in. Fill that on in. Is his little knee casting a shadow on his foot? If so, you can just add a little bit of shadow right there. You always can outline a little bit more to make it pop. And then I'm going to do right here. Right underneath his chin, down to his arm. Is his little chin casting a shadow on his little neck? If so, let's just focus there for a moment. Is there anywhere that needs like a second go over? I am going to add my second color, so I'm going to let that be. Now I'm going to go focus on his little face. And I'm going to just kind of, again, focus on the curves. Start filling that in. Same pressure. Of course, you can make his face a whole different color. It's whatever you're feeling. If you want to lightly go over those little cheeks, or you can go around them. I'm going to turn my paper. So I'm going to go with the curve of his little cheek. Lightly over the cheeks if you are. Very cool. And down here, right on his chin, following that curve of his little face. Awesome. outline that a little bit. Just be aware of the tip of your crayon, right? Cool. And now I'm going to do the outer part of his ear. You could follow the curve or fill in however you'd like. And I'm even going to go lightly on the inside over that pink. But if you wanted to keep that bright, pure pink, you sure can. Turning my page. Filling in that edge, the outer part of my ear. And then I'll go in right over that pink, lightly. Cool. There he is. He's starting to come to life. Nice. Now I decided to do a light blue on top. Of course, you can choose a different color, purple, green, any color you like. But I like that light blue. So I'm going to do the same thing, just quickly. Same pressure, less pressure, whatever you'd like. I'm just going to go right on over. You can go the same direction that you colored your koala in, or you can do whatever you'd like. I'm just kind of following loosely the same directions that we just colored in. And this kind of just starts filling in all of those holes that our first layer left behind, which is kind of cool. If you want to try to push down harder, maybe in that shadowed area, sure can. Then I go right to that little head. So if you're holding your crayon super tight, just loosen your hand. You don't have to hold it tight, right? You can push down, but you don't hurt your hand. And every once in a while, you give it a little shake out. I'm focusing this light blue on the outer edge. I'm not gonna add any to my inner ear, but you could. Kind of cool that art has no real rules, right? It's just all about having fun, and I think it's, you know, trying new things and problem solving, and it's pretty fun. All right, there he is. He looks happy. So I'm just gonna grab my brown real quick because I want to get a little bit closer to my ear right here. And if you want to add any like outlines, I think I need to darken that line a little bit. But I think he's super cute. And I'm going to show you, so I taught this a little earlier with a group, and here is my one from earlier. So you can just see that they kind of look different each time, and what's kind of cool about that is that, you know, you could make multiples and do different colors and have them turning different ways, and then hang those in on your wall, maybe like a set of 3. That's called a triptych. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start focusing on my background. You can think about, you know, what do I want to add? Do I want to have just some simple leaves? Do I want to have all different kinds of leaves? What color leaves do you want? Do you want to add some flowers, a butterfly maybe? And one thing to kind of look at is look at your paper and see how much white space is left. And that kind of tells you, you know, it's almost telling you like, maybe I want something big to fill in this. And is that a leaf, or is that a head of another koala? Is that a butterfly, a flower? Anything you like. So start thinking about that and looking at the white around your picture now. And I'm going to just start by adding some leaves, and I'm going to play with a few colors and maybe even some outlines, and maybe I'll add some veins into my leaves as well. I also kind of created these strange tropical spiraling little plants that I'll show you that were fun to make. And of course you can make whatever you'd like. So really start thinking about it, and you can totally practice on your practice sheet as well. That's there. So I'm gonna put you back onto your artwork. And at any time, if you're like, well, I didn't get to finish that, you know, you can continue on after. So, or you always can go back to your work, right? So I'm kind of looking around and, all right, I think having these greens and leaves coming from around is something I really do want to add. I'm going to first add this little branch that's coming out here from this tree. So I have my brown, and I'm just going to plan out where I would like that to be. I think I'm going to come out down here this time, so I have a little bit more space. And I'm just going to draw my line. Maybe, can I do that? I think I'm gonna add another one right off it. Just gonna change it up a little bit. Why not? All right, so I'm gonna play with light green. I'm gonna play with orange. I have dark green on deck, and I also have some yellow that I'm gonna be using for my son if you choose to. And I'm also going to be using purple. That's gonna add a pop of color. And yeah, so my shape of my leaves are very simple, and you can get as wild and creative as you'd like. But mine are, it's like a frown, a curve, and then it's a smile that attaches. So there it is. That's my leaf. So now back on my page, I'm going to add my first leaf here. And you can think about how big you want those to be or how small. They all don't have to be the same size, right? Because one might be a little baby. I'm going to introduce one poking in from here. What that does, it really says, what's beyond the edge of my paper, right? Are there more trees? Are there more koalas? Maybe I'll add one here. And I'm adding my outline first, and then I'll go ahead and color it in. You could fill in as you go. I'm going to add one here. Start with my green, and then I'll fill in with my other color. I am going to work in one small area first, so I focused over here. So now I'm going to switch over to my orange, and I'm going to add some orange leaves popping. Picturing it first, then drawing. Always have the option to use your finger before you use your crayon. Oh, I think I'm going to add another one right here. Cool. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fill in. You can think about the direction. You can think about how much pressure. You could think about if you want to add layers. All right, I'm switching to my light green. Just filling in, thinking about the direction, thinking about the pressure, thinking if I have any, other things I want to add. Flowers, a little bug, butterfly, head of a little koala, maybe just like an ear. All right, I love that. Now I'm going to go ahead over to this side here, and I'm going to start introducing some of these leaves. So I'm just going to look at where I want to put them, keeping in mind that I do want to add a sun. And I'm just kind of mapping that out. So I'm going to move down here. Just adding these little leaves, and of course different lengths. You can do different shaped leaves if you'd like. It's really whatever makes you happy. And maybe there's a couple poking out of this behind the tree. And I'm going to add some orange. And again, it's kind of like, how much room do you have? what does your paper, what is it calling for? Do you have a lot of space and you need to add or like to add a whole bunch of things? Or do you want to just add a few things? All right, I'm going to go back up here, but I'm going to pick up my yellow and I'm going to just picture it, and it's going to go behind my ear, so I'm not going to see the whole thing. You might have more room on yours. And I'm just going to use my finger and draw right through. I'm a big sun, and maybe we'll see the sun tomorrow. And I will color in my sun. And I'm going to add some little sunbeams, if you like. And would you like to add any more leaves up here coming in from the treetop? All right, now it's time to fill in. My favorite part. All right, let's see if this will help. Okay, sorry if I'm moving this on you. All right, so I'm going to continue on coloring in my leaves. If you have any ideas of what you want to color or draw in the future, let me know. Or if you have any other materials at home that you would like to play with, I'd be more than happy to. Oop, I have two more up here, forgot those. Turn that paper right around. Nice. All right, I mean, you could totally leave it like that and do your blue sky, or just leave as is, or you can go in and add a few more details. I think I'm going to definitely add some more details. So I'm going to actually start adding in these kind of like purple little plants I created. I'm going to show you how I went about doing these, but I made them on this one here. And whoop, let's see, can you see that? On this guy, and I added some little swirls, which I thought were really fun. So I'm going to show you that. All right. So these guys are just lines, and they can have like a swirl at the top. They can have a swirls coming off. Or you could make them and have like almost like little teardrops coming off the ends. However you want. Or you can add flowers, whatever you would like. Of course, it's yours. And I'm just going to kind of see where in my picture, where would it like to have a little more decoration in the forest. Maybe it's on top, going on top of your leaves. That gives more depth into our picture. So things are closer, further away. What are your plans for the rest of the day? Anything fun planned? Any games? All right, so that looks good to me. Now I can go in and add any more details to my leaves. Do I want to do different outlines of my leaves here? Do I want to do a darker green? Do I want to outline my orange? I could outline my orange in red if I choose. Or I could add maybe some detail, like some veins. So you could say, nope, I love the way that looks. Or if you're like, I want to try this, why not? Why don't we go ahead and add a little bit of an outline? There you are. A little bit of an outline. Adding my center vein, and maybe there's a few coming off. And you don't have to do it on all of them, because some of them might be too far away to really see. And I'm just being aware of the edge of my crayon. Adding to whatever leaf I want, whatever is calling for some more detail. That looks cool. Let's see. I'm going to try, why not? I'm going to try some red, and I'm going to try doing a little bit of the same thing that I just did to, yeah, that looks cool. I could try that on my test paper first, but I think I like this. Yes. Very cool. So I'm just adding a little bit of a red detail to my orange. It doesn't have to be all of them. Cool. All right, nice. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start focusing on my sky. If you have a lot of white space left, can you add maybe some clouds, or could you add more leaves, more flowers? Just kind of take a step back and really look at it, because he's in the jungle, so I kind of wanted him like really nestled in there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start thinking about what color blue do I want my sky to be. Because I decided to use my light blue for my koala body, I'm going to use a darker blue for my sky. And I'm just going to think about the direction. Someone's hammering. I don't know if you can hear that. The direction of my mark. And I'm just being aware of my leaves and whatever's on or around my sky, right? So just kind of going around it. It's kind of fun. And I'm trying to keep the same angle, because if I did it all different angles, right, it would almost become like a patchwork quilt, which could be cool looking. You could have, you could do like a rainbow. Maybe it just finished raining and the sun's coming out and there's a rainbow. You know, you always could add. So think of that before. Think about all the other things you want to add before you add your final background color. You could layer your color of your sky. You could just get wild and do a, you know, crazy color. I just went over my little sunbeams. Just filling in these little spaces. Trying to keep it the same direction. I have this little space right here. Got that. I really like this one. This was fun to color. Going in between all these tiny little spaces. Thinking about the tip of my crayon and playing with big marks, small marks. Trying to keep the same pressure, just like we did in the very beginning. So at this time, is there any more layers I want to add? Of course, you know, tomorrow morning I could wake up and say, yeah, I really want to add a third layer to my tree, you know? So you always can keep going. It's kind of good to know when to stop as well. Whenever you're happy with it, that's when it's done. When you feel like it's all done. So I just have this little place right here. Let's see. Shake out that hand if needed. And there it is. I think he's cute. So I'm going to sign her initial wherever makes me happy. Ooh, I think, you know what? I think this guy needs this. He needs an outline. There he is. Now I'm good. Now it feels good. So I left some without outlines, some with outlines, some with veins. I have some of my purples coming through. I have my sun. My koala looks happy. And that was just really fun. I hope you had fun with me. I hope to color or paint with you again soon. If you have any ideas, please send them this way. And also, once you're done, if you want to take a picture and post them, or you can send them in a private message to me, I would love to see them. Love to see what you come up with. So thank you again, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will see you all soon. All right, bye everyone. Thank you so much. Bye.